bit about how and whether this is a conversation about pluralism as opposed to simply necessity. And in what ways does pluralism inform, or your sense of pluralism inform these conversations? Because clearly when two or more groups of people get together and they have no choice but to live with one another, they have to find ways of working together. But in what ways does an ethic of pluralism sort of enhance or inform that conversation, or even inform the decision to merge?
So my feeling is that if congregations are going to approach this idea of merging across denominations, they've already accepted the idea that there are multiple, authentic, positive ways to be Jewish. So if that's what you call a pluralistic endeavor, then yes, it's a merging across denominations would certainly be a pluralistic endeavor.
When I first came to the synagogue, I was very insistent on having one service. At a student position in Battle Creek, Michigan, we had an early, for the high holidays, there was like a traditional service, and then there was the more reform service. And it made me uncomfortable because people were, on the high holidays, they were davening in different places. I've come in a totally different, I'm in a totally different place today, and now I'm perfectly comfortable with multiple minions on a Shabbos morning. But the fact of the matter is, and we have different services going on the holidays as well. But what's interesting is that the services are not like traditional and liberal. It's more like the way we used to do it 20 years ago and the way we do it now. You know, I mean, it's still that middle road, but some people just like the way we used to, you know, sing Adon Olam or Ma Tovu in the morning, and so.
If we're all Jews and we're all the same, why don't we join with the Orthodox congregation? And why don't we join with the, you know, we obviously the fact that we are in this space and not in some other space means we don't, there's no such thing as we're all the same, because otherwise we wouldn't have Jews and Christians. We'd just all be people. We'd all have one universal religion, or we'd all be universalists, or whatever it is. So I agree with you. There are people who don't want to go there to that level and don't want to have those conversations. And I, for myself, don't want to be in a community that doesn't want to have those conversations.
I think a lot of people really value their practices. I don't mean to be flippant with you. I think that their values are embodied in those practices. They can't separate them out. And so that on some level, if I were in that situation, I would have people sit down and talk about why it is they value those practices. As long as we could figure out a way for everybody to be together somewhere along the way. I mean, in fact, my cantor, many of you know Meredith Greenberg, and she and I have played a lot with notions like having multiple minions and then one big kiddush where everybody comes together. I mean, for me, the most important thing in the early days was fostering that sense of singular community. And I will say, lastly, that, and I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, that as a result, our lay leadership never really totally bought into either the reform or the conservative movements. So they never really got real active in either the reform or the conservative movements. They kind of were nishtehin and nishteher, you know, they were marginalized. They just didn't feel that real strong sense of identity, and on some levels, I mourned that because I really wanted them to go to biennial conventions or annual, you know, meetings of the movements so that they could learn about leadership techniques. But on the other hand, it's also been a blessing because for us, again, it's not are we reform or conservative, we're just Jewish. And so like AJR, we've in some ways become a post-denominational synagogue.
I'd like to thank both of our speakers, Rabbi Kushner and Ms. Rich, for their insights and for helping us with this conversation.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support Shalom TV with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double chai or more, to the nonprofit organization Jewish Education in Media. Simply visit the Shalom TV website homepage and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check made out to GEM. To GEM, Post Office Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York, 10471. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive on DVD with our compliments. And we thank you for your kind support.